Hello, everyone. I hope you're all having a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you're listening to this from. I am back here today to talk about some of the articles that I have written recently, particularly the articles on pretty privilege and the article on why every woman should have a second passport. And I can get started on the pretty privilege topic. I chose to write about pretty privilege because, as a woman who has not dated in the past like 4 years, I have I've been able to take a back seat towards dating culture, and not just dating culture, but how society is shaped around mating and mate selection in every way, shape, and form. I used to live in a big city, and there was this ramen shop, and to get a seat at this ramen restaurant, you basically had to wait for like 3 hours. It was that busy, and I lived very close by, and I would always book reservations. But it was very easy for me to get seated. Why? Because I came by myself. But for the people that were in couples or in groups, they always had to wait for tables where I could go to the booth. And it made me realize how there's this segregation in society. There's like the partnered people, you get the tables because you want to communicate and socialize. While the single people, you get the where do you call it? The place, the seating tables just close to where they actually make the ramen. You get the um, bars. You get the bar exactly. And when you're in those situations and you have nobody to talk to, you become an observer. So you start looking at people. Even with lockdown, I had my apartment was in this beautiful position where I could just people watch. And you notice how people, and especially women, contort our lives around mate selection. And it's biological, right? If you did not pick the right mate, you could die, because when you were pregnant or in any way you were vulnerable, you needed somebody who could provide and give you meat that would give you the iron needed to replenish the blood you lost from ovulating, from having children, and all of that other stuff. We know that there's a biological imperative for mate selection. However, I realized that that biological imperative has been hijacked by a beauty industry that is out to exploit us by any means necessary. And when I see young girls talk about pretty privilege, and the entire conversation just starts and stops with, you are beautiful, you are not. The beautiful ones get privileges, the rest of us do not. I feel like that does not empower women to go into the world and to just give the world their greatest self. And it doesn't give women very much options. It's like you either fall into this camp or into the other camp. And the thing about beauty is that gone are the days where beauty was this thing that was given to us by the gods. No, now you can buy beauty. And I think the Kardashians as a whole represent this change in the idea of beauty. They are like the most American version of beauty. Like they pulled their beauty by the bootstraps and they made themselves beautiful. And they still do by working out so many hours, by going on these crazy diets. And what does that do? It tells any young girl you can be beautiful in air quotes if you are willing to manipulate your body, endure all the necessary pain and procedures needed to become beautiful. But from studying the lives of history's most iconic women, it became glaringly obvious that the women who live wonderful lives, and I mean the women whose lives are worth studying. This is not just the Joan of Arcs. This is not just the Cleopatras. This is not just like even the women who grab amazing love, like we're talking like Ruth Bader Ginsburg, or the women who live lives that just inspire us. None of these women were ever truly the the how do I describe it? None of these women were ever truly the beauty standards of their days. But these women were ruthless in their dedication to creating the life that they wanted. All of history's most iconic women were not did not limit themselves into like society's self-prescribed boxes. And we all know that we all know there's beauty like um we all know there's beauty like lowercase b, with the lowercase b, and that's the unique way everybody looks, is the unique way everyone presents themselves into the world, is the fact that we are all like snowflakes and we do not come in duplicates. And even when they're twins, eventually the twins try to make themselves different. And then there's uppercase b with beautiful, and that's the beauty for when you're willing to endure all that the industry, all that is required to be beautiful, when you're willing to make the necessary sacrifices to become beautiful. And all the women I have studied in history, they knew that lowercase b. They knew what made them beautiful. They knew that b that like made them stand out, and they leaned into that form of beauty, and they did not try to mimic other women. And also, those other women knew other characteristics and qualities that they could lean into to live the life that feels most fulfilling to them. And I wrote that article because I wanted to encourage young women who did not feel that they were the capital B. Like they did not feel like the beauty standards of the days that were imposed on them, that they didn't fit in, but that women uniquely by a unique position in society have abilities that could be used to just alter lives, not just our lives individually, but also the lives of others. And some of the unique characteristics that I think women have, that lots of privileges, actually not unique characteristics, is a privilege, is like wit. Like imagine a Cardi B. Cardi B, what brought her into superstardom was her wit, her ability to take the struggles of her life or stripping and flip it on its head and tell women how to finesse men from her experiences. That wit is the same wit that like a Joan Rivers uses to be able to take very delicate topics and make them something that people laugh at. That unique form of wit is a characteristic, is a privilege that if you have as a woman, you should lean into. Another privilege is like notoriety privilege. They're just women who are good at being their own PR agents. These are the women who, in any situation, they know how to market themselves. I heard that like Zendaya in her conversation with Issa Rae, she talked about how she always made sure to be like at red carpet events, even though she wasn't meant to be there, to keep make sure her name was still in the news. Even Kim Kardashian, the queen of notoriety privilege, always finding a way to make sure she stays relevant. That is a privilege. Like not that many people have this just insane ability to make sure that they are the fingertips and the social cultural pulse. Even authenticity privilege, like the women who are able to always let their authentic self shine through. So I even think of like a Rihanna. You can't say Rihanna is nice or mean, but you can say she's honest and she says it as it is. You can even think of an Issa Rae, like awkward black girl. She literally started a show about her, like women like herself, and it's a privilege in a society to be able to allow your authentic self to shine. And even the women who are literal workhorses, like these are the women who can put in hours to create the life that they want. And of course, you think of a Beyonce, you think of a Hillary Clinton, you think of a Serena Williams. These are like the women who, when it comes to showing up and working hard, they have built that muscle up that they are able to do whatever they need to do. And then you even have like ingenuity privilege. What I call this is like women's unique ability to see what's happening in the marketplace of in the world as a whole and to fill that gap. So I think of a Martha Stewart, like a woman who saw that as more women entered the office, that they would yearn for the days where they were domesticated, not domesticated, where they lived in domestic realm, and that's how she created this entire empire around the domestic arts, like baking, like getting a table set up, all of that other stuff. And even like a Sarah Blakely, the woman that created Spanx, she just kind of knew that she wanted to start her own company. And it just hit her one day. I need to create footless pantyhose, and that's the origin of Spanx. I think that they're a unique set of women who are able to find solutions to problems around them and do it in a very resourceful manner. These are like the women who basically are known for their resourcefulness, scrappiness, and their ability to solve problems using their ingenuity. And I also want to remind young women and girls that this isn't me trying to be um I, I'm not finding the right word, but this isn't me trying to console them for not being uppercase beautiful. Like this isn't a way of me trying to say that beauty does not have its privileges in society. The goal of that article was to say even if you do not fit into society's standards of beauty, you can still have a remarkable life and you can still have remarkable love, and that your unique sense of beauty can still shine. And even in the article, I list so many different men and women who, from all our intents and purposes, are happily married And you see, when the men describe their wives, they love their wives' intelligence. They love the way their wife makes them a better person. These are the men who show up for their partners, who tell stories. These are not the men who want somebody just to look at. And you can, from the videos I linked in the article, you can see their relationship dynamics. They love having somebody who they can butt heads with. They love the banter. They love having someone that encourages them to be better. And I am saying that we should not allow ourselves to own, we should not see ourselves solely through the male gaze. I hope from this article, at least from the Pretty Privilege article, that women are able to see themselves as far more robust creatures, and to say that they are able and active participants in creating their ideal lives. I feel like what Pretty Privilege does is it tells women you are not beautiful, so you are not deserving of this perfect life for yourself. But what I'm hoping this article does to women is tell women that there are women from every work of life, whether it's history, whether it's modern day, who use their unique set of talents and ambitions and skills to engineer. I use the word engineer because engineering takes lots of strategic planning, takes lots of execution, takes lots of iteration to get the life that they want. They engineer their lives. These are the women who walk away from failed marriages. These are the women who start companies. These are the women who hone their skills and know and equip themselves with those skills to go into the world and conquer. And I want more women to feel like they can conquer the world. And this does not mean and I also hate this thing where when I say conquer the world, I always have to preface this does not mean you should actually conquer the world. Of course, I know this doesn't mean you should actually conquer the world, but I think women suffer from um, excessive modesty. You should want to go conquer any field you're in. I want to see more women wanting to be the greatest tennis champions of all time. I want more women asking a lot from life. I realize that it is it is a poor strategy in life to ask very little of the one chance you know you have been given. And I always use the analogy of if I was a little child and I went into a candy store and someone told me the adult was like, you have 30 minutes or you have 1 hour to do whatever you want in this candy store. How would I navigate that circumstance? And for me, it's so intuitive to be like, you know what, I'm going to try every single candy in this store till the time is up. If I throw up, whatever happens, I move on. I will pace myself. Once I've tried one candy, it doesn't work, I will move on. I will not hesitate. I would use a very clear strategy. But it seems like women navigate this life with so much fear of uncertainty, so much self doubt. And my goal for that article is to remind women that their lives are theirs for the taking. And beauty, not fitting into society's expectations of beauty, is not a prerequisite, it's not a requirement, and it's not a good enough reason for you not to have a great life. I want to see the women with big noses demanding the love that they expect for themselves. And I want them telling anybody who wants them to ask for less out of life to fuck off. I want to see the women moving with far more, no grace, but with far more confidence, not in just in their abilities, but also in the fact that the world will catch them. I feel like another fear a lot of women have, and I see this from women who did not grow up with a lot of like financial support or women who grew up in cultures that were very patriarchal, is that if we fail once, nobody will catch us. So we have to be very, very, very careful. And for me, I realized that going back to the child analogy, if I only have one chance in this candy shop of life, I'm going to have to go to taste the wildest fucking candy. I'm going to have to climb to the highest shelf. I'm going to do whatever it takes to taste the unique candies that I think would be good for me. But yet, like so many of us fear that if we try, if we demand these things, we'll be disappointed by life. But I hope my article tells you life will be good to you. Life will not disappoint you. And for me, it was the hardest thing to imagine that this life would be good to me. And I want every woman to know you do not have to be society standards of beauty to have a great, wonderful, robust, plentiful life. And I hope we all learned that from this article. This world is ours for the taking. And I want every single woman to feel confident, comfortable, competent, and capable. And just know she can go into the world, manifest her fullest self. And in fact, the world is less and is worse because women are not manifesting our fullest selves. I just want more women to be whole and happy and to want great things and to create a better world. And I do not want any young girl to feel like she cannot do so because she doesn't fit society standards of beauty. So that's that article. Um, I got a lot of tweets on that topic. I mean, a lot of women already know that beauty is a scam, but just the amount of resonance it had with other women, just seeing how weird it's mass indoctrination. It really is. And I don't think it makes sense that women, we know we have collectively less wealth than men, but we spend an inordinate amount of it trying to look good for men, even though most of these men are broke. I just hope that we can start investing into assets that allow us to be greater and not assets that force us to shrink ourselves. I think the one quote I really saw about beauty when I made this article was about how like makeup makes you so self-conscious because when you put foundation on your face, you know not to cry, you know not to rub your face, you know not to touch your face or move your face in certain ways. You know, you become like considerate of the lighting. It makes you so hyper aware of yourself. You become, and I'm just like, damn, I've never seen it that way. And I don't know, I just want more women to navigate the world with freedom and not put ourselves in self imposed chains. So that's it on the pretty privileged thing. I have far more well thought out thoughts on that in the article. This is just my me rambling so that you could hear it in my voice and you could just know that you can be free. Live your life how you want. And don't worry, create a life where you can take risks and you can jump and society will catch you. And I think that's why I really wanted to create this like community because I feel like all the information given to women on the internet is just like low quality information, so much noise, like what's your dating preference, all this other nonsense, high value man, high low value woman, scammeration bullshit. But I wanted a space where women we could all like co-conspire with each other to create a robust and wonderful life. What does co-conspire mean? It means a woman is not sure between two jobs. We could actually sit down as a community and like help her triage her situation, like what are career advancements in this position, where is this located in the city, or a woman is unsure of some of her skills and tells us what we like, what she likes, and we can actually help like direct her in some sense. And it's also not just investment tips, but like I want every woman to, instead of being hyper aware of her face, to become more aware of the world around her so that we can make strategic moves in order to advance our position. And a strategic move, segue into the next article, would be moving. I've I didn't really write that article as well as I wanted to because I was Saturday Sunday and I was so tired. But I've been really thinking about the idea of the state as a man. Like the state is a man, the biggest like you know how imagine a patriarchal man who takes your money, who prevents you from leaving certain situations, who imposes strict laws and regulations on you. That's basically the state. The state takes our money in the form of taxes that if we are compelled by force to pay. The state imposes laws on us. The state is also unjust very much towards women. And I was saying that the best way to actually fight the state is to let the state know you can always leave via a second passport. And I know to some people, they think that like I agree with the idea of you should get a gun, you should be armed, you should be willing to move to a nice neighborhood, like smaller things you can do to help advance your cause. But there's this man in tech, his name is called Balaji Srinivasan. Sorry if I butchered his last name. And he really talks about the idea of an exit. And what that exit means is that for you to have leverage, and even for the people who stay to have leverage, there has to be people who are willing to move. An example of this is that let's say there are two people or two groups of people, and in country A or in country A, the group that likes color red far outweighs and outnumbers the group that likes color blue. If color blue is willing to move to another country, or color blue has enough high earning workers or enough people who can contribute, other countries can be like, color blue people, come over here. We want you here. And if the country A is like, damn, the people who like blue are willing to move all the way for that, that is very important. Like, maybe we should somehow consider our position because now we are losing good people. And that's how I also view the state, especially when it comes to reproductive rights. Men will always desire sex and mating far more than women. And men will move where they feel like they have the opportunity to find good mates. If enough women get up and leave a country because they feel like their rights are not being respected, the country will have to, one, treat the women there better because there are fewer of those women. They just don't have the leverage to be treating those women poorly. And two, begin to actually have, and the women who leave now should hopefully have left to a place where they have more of the right to demand. Do I think this is the perfect solution? No. But do I think that my goal for this community is that women should have far more leverage? And in a negotiation table, you should always be willing to leave. That's the greatest form of leverage. If your demands are not met, you just leave, knowing that you can get a better offer elsewhere. And I wrote it in the sense of I want every woman to be able to live a situation that does not serve her. That might mean you and your bestie from two different continents, you're both just married so that both of you have each other's passports to leave. Like if same-sex marriage is allowed, you just do it. And I know this sounds like crazy, but it means that if you're a woman who is young and you don't honestly mind living somewhere for some time, that a very good option might be maybe you take a year, a gap year, you be an au pair, or you do something that allows you to see how the world is outside of your immediate environment. There's this YouTuber, his name is called I have his name off the top of my head, but I've never forgotten it. He is Damon Dominique, right? And in his video where he goes back to Indiana because he's currently living in Paris, France, but and his ancestry is actually French, but his family lives in Indiana. And it really hit him that his like a lot of his family stayed in Indiana because that's where their family currently is. But he gets to determine where his future generations grow up. He has a role to play in that. He gets to determine that. And I think that's how I want women to look. Like, we don't get to determine our circumstances. We are kind of born into this world, but we get to determine where maybe if you want to have children, where they get to grow up in. And giving them as much leverage as possible, giving yourself as much leverage as possible to determine how you want to live is where a second passport that entitles you to the rights of another country comes into play. Um, those are just some of the thoughts I've been having of my head. With regards to personal life, work will always be ghetto. Literally, I am an engineer and I make a good living for myself. And even so, then this is probably the best thing I do is just getting to talk to other women on the internet. Like all of you are fucking amazing. Like I tweet sometimes and I've just met so many of amazing people just from tweeting. All of you don't miss. You legit all don't miss. And I just want a community where women know and they are very much aware that they are entitled to a great life and nobody will rob them of that entitlement. Like I basically want to like pass out the key of freedom to every single one of us. And like I always have this quote, like, patriarchy let my people go, like patriarchy let my women go, because like I want every woman to know I am entitled to a great life. And it took me so long to learn that because oh oh Lord, I'll just put this for the people who actually pay for um the the newsletter and just tell them my stories. But I just want a community where women feel like they're entitled to a great life. Not feel, they know they're entitled and they know they won't be conned by patriarchy out of a great life. So, what else is happening in the news? We're already into 2022. So many celebrities have passed away, but such is life. Everybody dies every day. It's not trying to be mean, but it's what happens. Um, what should we anticipate by this in this year? There will be lots of economic turmoil. Now we're seeing all the inflation numbers. Now we're seeing the impact of the past 2 years of poor decision making. And this is another thing when it comes to like this idea of a second passport. In COVID times, I don't know who is happy with how their country responded, but you always want to be able to leave where you're at to go to a different place. You want to be legit. Like if my politicians are acting crazy in COVID times, I can get the fuck out of this place. So please, 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 and please, if you're somebody who can get a second passport via heritage, like countries like Ireland allow people of Irish descent to get it, go get it and go start the process, because it's only going to get harder as more people become more nomadic. And also, obviously, the time that you will need that second passport, every other person will need it. So you need to get it ahead of time. Um, so what should we anticipate for this year? I think it's not homework, but I want every woman who listens to this podcast and gets it all the way here, look out for opportunities in the market. Because if you thought all the Wall Street bets, crypto fiasco for the past 2 years are indicators of anything, this year is going to be even fucking crazier. So what does it mean to be to listen for opportunities in the market. If you're a woman who does like nail tech and nail art, if you notice that like supplies from your favorite nail manufacturer are dwindling, that could be an opportunity to maybe short the stock of your supplier. And it might not be something as straightforward as that, but I want more women to ask themselves, where do I fit into the larger picture of things? Like a good investor, I forget where it was, but I was watching this video on investing, and he talked about how he had a female friend tell him about the Katniss Everdeen, the entire that franchise, right? And he was like, and the woman told him, "Oh my God, this is going to be bigger than Harry Potter, all of this thing." So he then bought the Lion Gate stock. And once the movie came out in cinemas and it was crazy and there was fanfare, he was able to make money out of it. So I want any woman who sees an opportunity in the market report back to this community. Actually, would like something like where we would tell each other secrets. Like that's why I want a community where we can co-conspire. So if you're a woman who's like, I'm in a country that exports a lot of wine, and this year our grapes were shit. Like it was absolute shit. Like we're going in 6, 7, 8 months. Like nobody's talking about it, but there's not going to be wine. I need you to come report that to me. So everybody, look around you for opportunities. Keep your eyes open to the world around you. Um, that's kind of all that's been going through my head. A philosophical question I've wondered for a while are is the risk advantage that men have because of testosterone. I always just think that the reason why men are able to win at the outliers is that they have testosterone, which makes them far more likely to take risky bets. And women, we are far more competent and more calculated. So instead of taking risky bets, we are far more in the middle, like we are far more reasonable. And I wonder, maybe our goal for this year is to correct for that um, testosterone advantage. Does that mean you should spend all your life savings on some shit coin? No, but maybe it would be good for a decent portion of women to integrate more risk into their lives. Because I remember one investor really said this. I follow lots of investors in my personal page, that if you cap your downside, you automatically cap your upside. So if you try to prevent yourself from falling really low, you automatically cap how high you can go. So with all that in mind, I'm going to be making a personal video for the people who actually pay and support the platform, just rambling on my pathetic love life. I think that would be nice because I love the personal videos to know about people's love lives. And if you're interested in that, it will be available to the paid members who pay. And that's all from my end. I hope you all have a wonderful week. I've been trying to think of which topics to explore next. A part of me has been thinking the girls who do a lot of this prison reform, prison abolitionist girls are, Lord, they are in need of lots of prayer. But I don't even think that topic is worth exploring because we all know that we need the prison system because some people are just we cannot rehabilitate some people. We will need a place to keep them away from the rest of society. I know people don't like to hear that, but that's the truth. Um, I've been trying to think of an interesting topic to write on, and if you have any interesting topics to write on, I'd really like to explore them. I also want to get away from low quality topics. Like the entire idea that a topic I've been thinking about was how you are not a sex worker, you're an impressionable child. There's this entire idea where you think you can finesse people by being pretty on the internet, but no, you're just an impressionable, stupid child. I've been thinking about that topic, but I think it's too simple. It's too simple and it's obvious. So I want to explore topics that are far more complicated and far more nuanced that could help a lot of women. But let me know if anybody has topic ideas, and I will be signing out for today. Have a lovely weekend, everyone. Bye bye.